All right, another big mistake that I see people making frequently is they're missing opportunities and they're scaling their business way too slowly. Now, sometimes they're scaling too slowly because they don't have the teams and the resources, and that's easily fixable. We already spoke about that. But another challenge is they don't know when they're supposed to sell the properties or refinance the properties. So let me tell you what I do to determine when it's time to sell. Number one, well, first of all, there's 3 phases of appreciation. And the number 1 phase is what I call a spark. The spark is caused by something such as, it's usually a news story that causes this. So if we look back a number of years ago, Warren Buffett went on CNBC and he said if he had the manpower, he'd buy several 100,000 single-family homes. Now, normally when Warren Buffett goes on CNBC, he talks about things such as, you should buy Coca-Cola shares. And when he says that, he owns a lot of Coca-Cola shares. And when people listen to him, he just makes $1 billion and he calls it a day. So good for him. When he said he'd buy several 100,000 single-family homes, he had nothing to gain from it. It was nothing self-promoting. It was nothing that was going to make him any money. He was just actually speaking from the heart, saying, hey, this is the best place to be invested right now. Well, a whole bunch of people on Wall Street, especially hedge fund managers, they took notice. They go, did Warren Buffett just say that? He doesn't talk about real estate. He's not the real estate guy. And they pulled their money out of the stock market, they took it out of Wall Street, and they put it into Main Street and started buying real estate all over North America. Well, actually all over the US, I should say, not North America, all over the US. And they really brought up a lot of the markets they were in, including Las Vegas, where I was very heavily invested when he went on TV. So that's the spark. The next spark, in my opinion, unless something else comes up first, is going to be the banks going on, and saying, hey, it's, Wells Fargo and Chase and Bank of America, any of these big banks going and saying, hey, we're loosening up our lending. Because now you got all these people that are on the sidelines that are renting right now and wish they were homeowners. You got all these people that used to be homeowners, they lost their home in the recession, now they're renting, they want to get back into owning. As soon as money is readily available, they're going to jump in, cause the spark. Or we're going to see people that have never owned a home before, first-time buyers. They've gone through college, they got their degrees, they got their job, they have their down payment. Only thing missing is a mortgage. So once the mortgages are available, you're going to have these people jump in. Once again, it's going to cause a wave of upward momentum, and that's going to be the spark. I do not sell during the spark phase because there's still a lot more room for it to go up. Then we have the number 2 phase, and I call that the gold rush phase. The gold rush phase is where we have other investors in other markets saying, Atlanta, I never thought Atlanta was going to go up. We're invested in Memphis, just fill in the blank, just making stuff up here. But we're investing somewhere else. And all these investors from other places jump in to get in on the bandwagon and try to make money before it's too late in that market. So they're all moving there, they're doing their thing, they're competing, and they're driving that market up even further. I'm still not selling. Number 3 phase, though, is what I call the speculator phase. And speculator phase is where I'll land at the Atlanta airport, I'll hop in an Uber, the driver will say, oh, you're in real estate, I've been flipping homes. And then he'll drop me off at my hotel. The front desk clerk says, oh, I flip homes too. That's cool that you're in real estate. And then I'll get to the restaurant, the server's flipping homes, front page of the newspaper's talking about real estate, the TV is talking about real estate. Everywhere you go, real estate, real estate, real estate. That's the only topic anybody's got on their mind. That's when I start to get rid of properties, because during that phase, what's driving the market up is you have a speculator selling to another speculator, selling to another speculator. They keep selling the homes to each other, and there's no end buyer in sight, because now the prices have gone to the point where the typical 2-income family can't qualify for a mortgage anymore. So what ends up happening, they end up leaving the city, looking for somewhere more affordable, and they'll go on to the next city. Now the population's going down, and that market's getting ready to turn the corner. That's what I'm selling. You got people fighting over properties. I'm taking my money and I'm running. And quite often I'm selling one property in that market, and when I get to my next market, and once again, I'm selling high, and I'm going to the next market, I'm buying at the bottom. I'm finding a market that's lagging behind, that hasn't done its thing yet. But once again, I'm in the path of progress, and I'm getting there before everybody else figures it out, and I'm buying my properties cheap. So what ends up happening is I'm selling one in one market, and if I'm lucky, I'm getting maybe 2 in the next market. And that's how you build a portfolio quickly without having to take more money out of your pocket. And it's very, very strategic, but so many people don't know when it's time to sell. And that greed factor kicks in, and they think it's just going to keep going up forever. Never forget that real estate is cyclical. If there's only one thing that you remember from this entire course, remember real estate follows cycles. And it's never going to keep going up forever. It's also never going to keep going down forever. So whenever I hear people say, oh, as long as, when I was invested in Vegas, people were saying, as long as we're the #1 tourist destination, prices will never come down. Well, those are famous last words because that market dropped 80% at one point. And people in Calgary said, oh, as long as we're an oil city, things will never go down. Well, there's a lot of people there right now that wish they had sold their homes a couple of years ago, I'll tell you that. I hear that conversation a lot. So real estate will never continue to keep going in one direction or the other. It's always going to be cyclical. When it hits a certain point, gets too expensive, comes back down. When it hits too low, people jump in, start buying it up, goes back up. And that happens time and time and time again. Very, very predictable. And a lot of people say to me, hey, Mike, where'd you get the crystal ball from? How do you know that this is going to happen? Well, I'll compare it to this. If you came to visit me in Canada in July, you'd say, Mike, I don't know why people complain about the weather in Canada. It is actually beautiful here. They're crazy. I can't believe they complain about how cold it is. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that if you were to come back and visit me in December, it would not look like that. There'd be snow, it'd be freezing, you would go back to wherever you came from, and you'd say, Mike, don't ever invite me back to Canada in the winter. So this isn't because I have a crystal ball. This is because I see the same things happen year after year after year for my entire life. Well, same with real estate. It doesn't follow a one-year cycle necessarily, but it's the same patterns. We know we're at the bottom when the builders stop building, when the banks stop lending, when all the news is bad, we're at the bottom. And when all the news is good and everybody's so excited about real estate and all they're talking about is real estate, get out. Move on to the next market, take your money, run, build up that portfolio, and keep expanding and scaling. That's how you get wealthy from real estate. That's how you create the lifestyle. That's how you get to the point where you can do whatever you like.